Well, hello and welcome to the Pop Live Show. It is Tuesday, January 26, 2021. And wow, we actually have some viewers already. This is awesome. We're Jamie and Nolan. Obviously, I'm Nolan. This is Jamie.
Wait,
Or
I'm
you can
all
see her behind you.
manual.
You can see her behind
Okay.
you. There she is. Is it this way? This way. There's Jamie. Oh, I have my glasses on. Whoops. Those are my blue blockers. Anyways, as you can see, we're back in our home studio. Oh, we don't have the cool fancy lights in background, but we got Emmett in the house, so that's good. You can see him right there. There he is. Little update on the studio. We are feverishly getting set up at our new location, and it is happening fast and furious. In fact, just getting prepped for today's live stream, Jamie literally was down to the last second before we were able to stream right on time. So we made it, but our schedule's been pretty hectic. But it's a good thing because we're going to be in our new place very shortly. Maybe could be, a few weeks from now, a couple weeks maybe, and it's going to be so much more cool, and I'm excited about it. Anyways, you didn't tune into our live stream to hear about that. What you came to hear about today is about the benefits of taking your events virtual, from both the communication and marketing aspects. So the reason why I brought up how things are crazy and so busy and stuff is it kind of ties in with what I'm going to be talking about as far as why taking your event virtual has a ton of benefits. And the fact is that before the pandemic, there wasn't really much in regards to virtual events. Everything was very much in person, and especially for nonprofits, fundraisers were usually like these in-person balls and galas. You spend an evening at a convention center or a banquet hall, and you have dinner, entertainment, speeches, awards maybe, a live auction and whatnot. Starts at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. You finish at about 9 o'clock. It's a long night, and it was open to a small amount of invitees as far as how much the venue could hold, and you were starting to hear within the communities that there's something called live event fatigue or fundraiser fatigue. And that was because it seemed like almost every week there's one or two live fundraiser events or balls or galas, or what are those things called? What is it called, Jamie?
Rubber chicken dinner?
Yeah, rubber chicken dinner, that's right. Where you'd go and have that basic, ballroom meal, which usually had like teriyaki chicken or a grilled chicken dish and a green salad and a dessert and one drink ticket or something. And people were getting pretty fatigued with it because we all have busy lives, and to know that you got to work all day and then go spend your evening away from home and at this event, and then go back home and take care of things and then wake up early the next day and stuff. It was a lot, but also it was getting repetitive. Seeing the people and having to dress up and all that. It started to get wear on people, and so a lot of donors and sponsors were starting to talk amongst themselves and to the community that we got to think of something different because this is getting to be a lot. It's getting to be tiresome, and also knowing that the cost to produce these in-person events, you gotta pay for the venue, you gotta pay for the catering, you gotta pay for the staff, you gotta pay for so much that the cost of putting on these events ate so much into the money raised, which was the purpose of it, was to raise funds for the organization, that a lot of the sponsors were starting to say like, I'd rather majority of my money go to actually helping support these nonprofits versus paying for the bill to put on this event. It just didn't seem to make as much sense for them. So in a way, the pandemic kind of like fast forwarded this idea of needing to come up with a new alternative to how to do fundraisers or events. And the whole purpose of the fundraiser or these events for the nonprofits originally was to, one, raise money, but two, also raise awareness, so that there can be more, community support, build the audience and whatnot. So when the pandemic hit and we started finding ways to turn these traditional in-person events virtually, it was a little scary for a lot of people, a lot of unknowns, a big learning curve. But now that's been almost a year now, we're seeing so many benefits to it. And so we thought we'd share some of those benefits that we saw firsthand and that we've learned about, things that we've heard of in the studies and research done, nationwide, just so that you can get a better idea as to, one, what the benefits of putting on a virtual event are for your organization, but two, it might also spark ideas on how you can come up with a virtual event for your organization. Because the interesting thing about it all is that not all virtual events are the same. Every event is different because each organization is different. Each audience for the organization is different. The resources are different. So my hope is that after this conversation, you can learn a little bit and it'll start to get the ideas flowing. So if you have any questions or thoughts throughout this whole conversation, please throw them in the comment section. We love to hear your feedback and also your questions. So don't be shy, throw them in there. And even if you just want to talk amongst yourselves and just hear me in the background, that's fine too. But the first thing that came to mind as far as a benefit for taking your events virtual is, I was mentioning how busy we are. I think if you look at your schedule now versus pre-pandemic, I think I speak for a lot of us that we're doing way more meetings than ever, probably because we have access to virtual meetings through like Zoom and stuff, where we don't have to get in the car, drive over and find parking, go to the office, sit down and meet, or go to Starbucks and meet. We can literally wake up, brush our teeth, and then click of a button and we're in a meeting, right? So I think a lot of people have been sharing how, the pandemic has created a virtual space for a lot more interactivity, a lot more meetings and such. And same goes for content and things that virtual events provide, where so many more events are easier to attend. So whether it be a fundraiser or a conference where you're learning things and whatnot, because it's so easy to access. You can be anywhere. You can be at home, you can be in your office, you can be in the car, you can watch it on your cell phone, tablet, computer, wherever you are. You can attend these events now, and again, you don't have to dress up, you don't have to find a babysitter and stuff. Like, you can actually be cooking dinner while you're attending the events and such. So access to things are so much easier and more convenient. And so for your events, when you take them virtual, you start to open up the opportunity to build a larger audience for attendees and such. Because, for instance, if your event was Thursday evening after work, people would have a harder time, scheduling around, like, oh, I'm going to spend the whole night, at the Hawaii Convention Center and fight traffic and look for parking and all that stuff. Instead, hearing this pitch more of, hey, our event is tonight, you can join us online, you could still be at the office finishing work, you could be at home, having dinner with the family, like, you could still attend our event no matter what your situation or schedule is. And then even for the replay ability too. A lot of virtual events have the replay option, where even if you miss it live, you can still watch it on tape delay, because it's still easy to access after it's over. So people who before may not have been either, what is the word? What's the word when you want to, when you feel like motivated? That's right. People who may have felt not motivated to go to your event, or feel like it's just not going to work in their schedule. A lot more ease of access and convenience now because your event is virtual. So you can build a larger audience that way. Also, again, remember I was talking about how you're restricted to the capacity of the venue that you're at with the in-person events. But now you can have thousands of people at your events, and it doesn't matter. You're not going to break any fire codes. You're not going to have to pull out any extra chairs and all that stuff. So imagine now, instead of seeing a couple hundred people at your event, and that's the small audience size that you have to share your message, to spread information about your organization, raise funds from. Now you can have people from all across the globe, and as many as you want, theoretically attending your events. So that's another great benefit of doing it virtual. And I think also the thing that I mentioned as far as the sponsors and donors saying, before, with these rubber chicken dinner events, so much money goes into paying for the logistics of producing this event that a lot of the money donated doesn't actually reach the organization because so much of it is spent already in the production. Well, with virtual events, I'm not going to say it's guaranteed costs less than an in-person event, but in every event that we've worked on, learning what their annual budgets were for previous in-person events and what we were able to produce their events with, I haven't seen an instance where it costs more to virtually produce an event than a live in-person event. And in fact, it's always, in our case, in our experience, been significantly less. But again, every situation is different, so I'm not going to just say, oh, guaranteed, it's going to be less. But I haven't seen an instance yet where it costs the same or more to produce an event virtually versus in person. So what that means is, if in case that is the case, that it costs less to produce a virtual event for your organization, more of the money you raise goes to the organization and the work that you're trying to support versus paying for the bills of said event. Anything that, any thoughts or questions?
I have feedback.
Oh, you do?
This is going to get very behind the scenes and probably husband and wife conversation that we should have had before we went live. But to me, it's kind of boring.
Oh, okay.
Because this is all just general information that probably you can just get by thinking about it. Mm-hmm. So I think what would be more helpful is if we talk about our experiences and what people have, what we've seen, like results that we've actually seen. Because, just, I don't know, bored.
and it's funny because as you said that, I looked and there was one less viewer as you said that. You actually inspired someone to click off. Okay. Well,
you know what I mean, though?
Kind of. I mean, I guess.
I feel like you go better off of questions. So, when you're having this discussion, and this is where it's, really behind the scenes, and we should have had this talk before. Because we're changing format, right?
Yeah.
You're not prepared anymore, and you're just talking off the cuff. Mm-hmm. But I think that goes well in meetings because you're feeding off of their questions, and you can tell what they're interested in.
Right.
And now you're just talking.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're just talking, I think you tend to go more general and broad. But I think, to me, what's more interesting and helpful is to be more specific.
Okay. Well, with that makes sense, and you're right. I do feed better off of questions and comments. So, do you have anything in particular that could kind of spark that?
I think one thing that people always ask is if they should charge for their event. like if it should be like a ticket sale kind of thing, like how their gala would be. And then I think your answer goes to the marketing aspect of a virtual event.
Okay, well that's a great starting off point, because you're right. That's like I have like probably a set of 5 usual questions that every meeting they ask, and should you charge for a virtual event is one of them. And so the answer to that is it depends. It depends on who your audience is, and this is why I say that. If you have a dedicated audience where you know this is our audience, we're not interested in growing it, we know this is our hardcore fan base who's going to support us no matter what, and we don't have a need or desire to expand outside of this bubble, then yes, it makes sense to charge, because and of course, if your event has something of value that warrants a charge. But usually when it's something like a fundraiser, attendees will be open to paying for attendance, because they know it's going to go towards supporting the organization. So most of the times, and so we've talked with a client before that had that, where they're like, we have a strong support base, and we don't really see that it really is going to go any further than that, and we're fine with that. This event that we're doing, we just want it to be something where they're used to coming together every year and raising funds so that we can carry on our mission for the remainder of the year, and also they come to expect this type of show or product. So with that in mind, that made total sense to have them charge for it. The majority of clients that we've talked to and worked with, they do have a desire to spread their reach, get a larger audience. And so with that, you would ask yourself, well, if there's a person out there who isn't familiar with your organization, sees your virtual event, it looks interesting, they would love to attend it, and it sounds fun, and maybe if in learning more about your organization through this program, they might feel like, hey, this is an organization I want to, start supporting or following. If they were to see, oh, yeah, attend our event and it's going to cost X, Y, Z to attend, most likely they're probably going to go, oh, that's okay. There's plenty of other things to do. But if it were saying, hey, come learn about, our organization, this is the fun, cool program that we have, and it's free, then there's way more incentive for someone who's unfamiliar with your organization that has a slight interest in it to attend. And they also would have more comfort in spreading it, so like sharing it with their networks, because the hope is that you can get once you create your virtual event, that not only will you be able to spread it to your followers and attendees, but their networks of friends and colleagues will get to learn about by them spreading it out to them and trying to grow your audience that way. So it's harder to get a large audience, a new audience, if there's a cost attached to it. So I understand people who say, well, a majority of the money we raise from our events is from attendance, charging for attendance. But I would say that the things that we always consider is by taking it virtual, there's less overhead costs, because a lot of the times for the events, the attendance is covering for the payment or the cost of the food and the rubber chicken meals and such. So if those are gone, less costs, less need to charge for attendance. But also, because this virtual event has this value to it, as far as it's now, you can argue that it's going to spread to a larger audience, more eyeballs will see it and such, for the ways you can make up for the funds that you may be losing in not charging. You can possibly gain in other ways, such as getting sponsorships. For a lot of businesses and private sponsors and donors, knowing that there's a little bit of a return of investment for their support, adds value for them. So because they know, oh, I'm going to get a larger exposure. So instead of, a couple hundred people seeing my logo on the screen on the stage in an in-person event and a mention from the MC, I'm going to be featured in this, virtual program to possibly a much larger audience now. And in our productions, we've been able to get creative with how to incorporate the sponsors so that there's more exposure, more return of investment for them, so that they are more incentivized to, sponsor at a higher level and bring in more and new sponsors. So the money that you lose in attendance fees, you can gain and maybe exceed through these new avenues that these virtual events provide. Any thoughts to that, Jamie? Anything I'm missing?
That's better, thank you.
So it's funny because when I first started this thing, I see Jamie in the other camera view. You don't see her, but I do, and she's just like. And in the past,
I tried to make my face better because I knew you could see it.
Yeah. Well, in the past, like I would see that, and then I'd start to get, I'd second guess myself, and I'd be like, "Is this bad? Is she upset?" And sometimes I'd call her out. I'm like, "Is everything okay, or is it bad?" And she's like, "No, yeah. What? Why are you stopping? Oh, I'm sorry. Like, why would you think that?" And I'd be like, "Oh, this whole time I was like, really, nervous because I thought you were upset." So this time when I saw her face like that, I was like, "Oh, she's just tired," because if she really was upset about something or bothered, she'd say something. And then she did say something. So, okay, well, what else?
I think the next thing I would want to hear about is for communications, like people understanding or getting the messaging better.
Oh yeah, that's a great thing. Okay, so I hope this is effectively answering, not boring. Because now I'm going to be self-conscious about it. But okay, so let's put yourself. Close your eyes. Imagine you're in a ballroom at one of these usual fundraiser events. What is your memory? It's been a long time since we've done them now, but in your memory, what is it like? You go inside the ballroom. There's people gathered around. There's people at the bar getting drinks. People maybe eating appetizers and stuff, but people are all around mingling. Hey, there's Jerry. I haven't seen Jerry in a while. Oh, there's Sue, who's I really need to talk to and start schmoozing with, all that kind of stuff. Your whole focus is on the people around you. This is a networking opportunity for a lot of people, a chance for business relationships or personal ones, right? And then what happens, and this is something that I always struggle with because as a professional MC and emceeing tons of events, this is the worst part of my job, is at 6 o'clock when I'm instructed to go on stage and I do the whole, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, hi, my name is Nolan Hong and welcome to the 2019 Gala for XYZ Brand Company. We're going to begin in about 1 minute, so if you wouldn't mind, just please finding your way to your seats, and we're going to begin our amazing program for you. We can't wait to get started. So please grab your drinks and head on over to your chairs, head on over to your tables, and then absolutely zero reaction and response. All the conversations are even louder because they're trying to talk over me, and there is nobody making any inching towards their seats whatsoever. And we spend literally sometimes 10 to 15 minutes of me warning, begging, pleading, trying to get someone's attention to just please go to your seats and be quiet so we can start. And because the program is where we share information. That's where we tell our stories, where the CEO expresses their gratitude and what the visions for the future are for the organization, where we play, videos talking about the mission and the accomplishments of the organization, and all with the hopes to get that connection with the attendees so that they will feel connected with your organization, feel like they understand you, and want to continue or gain or give you their support, whether through donations, volunteering, spreading the word, whatever. The whole point that your organization wants from this event is for them to really understand you and become supporters and champions of you. And that will equate to, donations and volunteerism and all that stuff, right? Well, if you don't have their attention, you can't accomplish that. And almost every single one of these events, even if you get them to sit down at their table and the program starts, so many times there's all this chatter and conversations on the tables. And I have heard so many times people saying that they've attended these annual galas and fundraisers and ballrooms, events and stuff for years. And it wasn't until attending a virtual event this year that they didn't realize so many different aspects to the organization, like the different programs and the different communities that these programs touch and affect. And the reason is because in the in-person event, there's so much distraction going on. People leaving early, people going outside to continue their conversations, people having their conversations at the table, but they're not listening to a lot and paying attention a lot to what's going on as far as the informational part of the program. When it's virtual, the whole focus of the content in the virtual event is understood that like media, whether it's television, online, or whatnot, you have a very finite amount of opportunity to get someone's attention and keep them, because it's so easy for them to change the channel, log into another website, close their laptop, go do something else, right? And the in-person event, they can't, if they leave, you notice, but they could go, they're there. So you have a captive physical audience. Their attention, though, could be all over the place, and it's been accepted. It's fine if they're not paying attention fully. For the at-home audience watching a virtual event, if you lose their attention, you pretty much run the risk of losing it for the whole event. So the way virtual events are created and produced is with the intention of keeping the audience engaged, keeping them entertained, keeping them interested, and then and getting that connection to them emotionally. So you have the opportunity, because you have that captive audience who made that time to sit down, look in front of your screen, and now with the content that you create, whether it's that overview video or that testimonial video or whatnot, now there's really captivating creative ways to get across your message, your stories. And so that's why when we were hearing the feedback, it's like a lot of these people who had said that, I had no idea that this organization for all these years that I'd supported did all this stuff. I didn't realize that. Is because they actually were sitting down and paying attention and watching and listening to the overview video, the CEO's message about the mission, the testimonials from the community that is benefiting from the work being done. So that's where I see, and I forget what the original question was, but that's where I see the biggest difference in just the effectiveness. Because going back again to what the whole point of these events are for an organization, in being that you want to create that connection and bring awareness and understanding to your audience of your organization, I think it was starting to, the in-person events were starting to lose that ability. And then with the introduction of these virtual events, we've seen kind of, now we're getting it. Now we're able to bridge that gap. And just the feedback we've heard from one of the events that we did, just the longtime supporters were just so overjoyed with hearing and seeing the stories of what goes on, because while they support financially or whatnot, they're not there on a day-to-day to see what goes on or meet the people in the communities that are being supported. So when a well-produced video can put them into that environment, there's so much value to that. And while yes, you can show videos at your in-person event, again, the distractions, it's so hard to get people's attention to actually focus and watch and listen to that. And then of course there's like technical issues where they start the the video on the slideshow or on the big screen, but the audio doesn't start, and then it's like, what's going on? And then people are just totally, unhooked by then. So that's what I would say to that. Any thoughts, Jamie?
I think the other thing too, because I think my original question was about how virtual events are more able to communicate the message of the nonprofit.
Right.
So I think you really have to focus on what goes into the program to make sure that it's interesting and engaging. But I think the other thing, the difference with live events is a lot of times they're just filled like when we had a corporate job, and then it's just that the GM or whatever bought a table, and then they're just trying to fill it because they can't go, so they're just getting like whoever in the office is free that night, can you go? So those guys they don't care about your mission.
Yeah, they're not invested.
They're not invested at all. And then when you have people actually they're choosing to click onto your event, and they're choosing to watch it probably because they're interested. So you're kind of self-selecting people that are open to learning about you. So then when you give them information that shows them in a heartfelt way what you do, then you have more better chance of turning that person into somebody who will support your organization.
I love that, and just to expand that a little bit, like, so going off of what Jamie was saying about the tables being filled with people in the office just to fill the table. Imagine a person like me who, might be interested in your organization and your mission, but then finding out, a seat to your event costs $100. Well, I don't have $100 to attend this event, but now if it's available for free online, heck yeah, I'm going to go and tune into that because I'm interested in it, and it's actually accessible for me. It's not out of reach. There's not a budget that's preventing me from going. So even more so, you'll have a stronger, audience. And how many are you missing the opportunity of connecting with because of that barrier of the finances? Because there's been so many times I remember in the past where I wanted to attend an event because it looked really interesting, and I thought it would be really great to go, and then I found out a chair costs $100, and I was like, I can't go then. But I've also been an attendee where, like Jamie said, we were working for a corporate company, and they're like, hey, we got a table of 10 chairs and nobody's signed up. Like, anybody can go now. Just you can bring your friends if you want. We just need to fill the table because it'll be embarrassing if our company table is empty because people will see that we didn't show up. And so then you just have a bunch of people that are there, and we're just there to get our 2 free drink tickets and then talk about whatever we want. And so while the mission video is going on, it's like, let's talk about something else. Not that I did that, but you can imagine others would. And want to say hello to Johnny. I'm breaking away from the top. Johnny's our first comment, so I wish I could have some kind of beep and streamers and stuff like that. But Johnny said truth, probably is something I said earlier. But Johnny,
I think that was about the people not paying attention when you try to get them to stop talking at the event.
Now, are you saying truth because you were one of those people not paying attention, Johnny? You can be honest. I have a feeling you were one of those type of people. But then if you saw me, you'd be very upset, like, shut up, everybody! Anyways, thanks for hanging out with us, Johnny. Good to see you. We're going on about half an hour, a little over half an hour here, and I know we wanted to try and keep these shorter, but, and I'm kind of blabbering on and stuff. Other things that you think that we should be talking about on this subject, Jamie?
What is the topic?
The benefits of virtual events, communication and marketing aspects.
Marketing. I don't know.
Honestly, probably the reason why, because when I was going into this and I had my list in my head of things I was going to talk about, it's easy for me to just go down the list. But then when we talk about it honestly like this, where it's just like, oh, these are things we usually, you know, are asked about. These are asked about because it makes the most sense, and then I talk so much about it because I'm like, man, if you can get the two things that we just talked about, if you can grasp that, there's pretty much no, in my opinion, no other reason why you shouldn't be excited and want to get into, you know, doing a virtual event. So it's hard for me to just now go, oh, there's these other little things. But because knowing what the purpose, going back to the whole purpose of why you even put on an event in the first place, and then knowing we recognized what the pitfalls and barriers that were presented from a in-person event standpoint in achieving that goal, and what now virtual events can do to fix those problems and to bridge those connections. That's why I get so, you know, amped up and excited about virtual events, because there's just so many different levels to how it improves what you're able to do to achieve that mission of creating more awareness, creating more engagement, creating more of a connection with your audience, building your audience, and giving new opportunities to get people, allow people to support you. And that's whether it's financially, volunteering, or spreading the word. Because even if you have people who didn't know who or what you were about prior to your event, and they just happened to be watching because they saw that, you know, your friend Jamie is now watching the Pop Live fundraiser, and they go, well, that's weird, what is that? And they click on it and like, oh, this is really entertaining, this is cool. Oh, I didn't even know this company existed, and I didn't, wow, what a great mission. Now you're able to reach and connect with people on such a deeper and quicker way than if you had this tiny, or not tiny, even if it was large, but an enclosed, exclusive, in-person event. The only people that got to witness and learn and know about you was those people within those walls. And once they go home after that, that's probably the last, you know, you ever, that you're able to touch with and connect with them on that deep of a level. Whereas here, I mean, even when the event is over, there's conversations still continuing on in the chat rooms and in the chat sections and stuff, and the replays and all that kind of stuff. You can share it, and there's so much more longevity in the virtual world.
I have a little bit more.
Sure.
So, like, just in terms of budget, like, you're using this budget to do the event, but then also for the marketing people.
Oh, yeah.
They can cut it up, and then say you're producing like 5 vignettes to show during it. You can use those as social media content. And then if you don't already have a YouTube channel, or if you do, you can just put the event on your YouTube channel and use keywords to try to get more people to find your organization. So you can use the content for your marketing beyond just the one event. It's so much more versatile than having it in an in-person thing, because now you have all this video content.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you could be using it on your website too, like the different vignettes on your website. Like, there's multi-purposes for the content you create and use for these virtual events. So, for example, if like you have a video vignette about a program within your organization, it goes in deep dives and explains what it does. Not only can you use it for the purpose of this virtual event, but now you can house it on your website in the program tab, where it's like where people who go to your website want to learn more about that specific program. You can repurpose that video there to help educate them and such.
And then you can tag, so for your sponsors, when you tag them, that's not only good for them because they're showing their work in the community, but then you're also reaching their audience on Facebook, so their followers will see you too.
Yeah, that's a great point, because, like, for instance, when we're doing the in-person event, their sponsorships. Just they're maybe in the program, their logos in the program, maybe on the screen in the back and whatnot. But with this virtual platform, as you post it, as you share it, all that stuff, tagging the sponsors in there gives them so much more exposure and access to your networks, and then now amongst each other's networks. And so there's just so much more reach involved. I mean, I keep going back to reach, but ultimately, that's what we always hear from nonprofits. It's like, I wish more people knew what we did. I wish more people understood what we did from the sponsors side of things. I wish people knew how much we supported the community. I wish more people knew about my company and stuff like that. Like, all of those can be answered much more effectively with this platform. It's like a much more robust and aggressive platform than in-person events allowed them to be. Anything else, Jamie? Anything?
No.
Okay. That I feel like there are a ton more things that I always talk about and go over with clients and other organizations in regards to the benefits of virtual events, and I'm more than happy to extend this conversation in another part 2 later on in the future, but easily we can continue this in the comment section.
Didn't we already plan to do 2 more about these?
Yeah, so we're doing another one. The next one we're going to be doing is what goes into creating a program that's engaging and successful. So that's what's going to be next, and then after that we'll do the benefits of, or not the benefits, but the differences between live and pre-taped virtual events. So we're going to be going through some deep dives into virtual events, but I have a feeling that people who will see this on demand or after it's done streaming live, more questions or comments are going to come about, and so just feel free to throw them into the comment section, and we can continue that conversation in the chat, or we can bring it up in future episodes. But just know that this is just like a small tip of the iceberg. There's just so much more, and I know a lot of you, even if you're excited about this and it makes sense to you, you're extremely intimidated by the idea of like, I've never put on a virtual event, and this sounds so different and all that. I get it. It's true. It's very different. The learning curve is steep, but everyone that we've worked with leading up to the event, yeah, they're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Why do we do this? But every single one after the event this was awesome. Like, now that we know what goes into this, I'm really excited for the next one. Like, just know that it's never been, knock on wood, where people are like, ugh, never again. Like, they get in theory the concepts that we're talking about. That's why they're willing to go forward with it. And there's a lot of a learning curve and bumps in the road. But at the end, when they see it all come together and see it actually come to fruition, it really is a significant like aha, and it opens up a lot more for what else can be done. And so if you are feeling a little overwhelmed, intimidated by the thoughts of this, don't worry, it's totally natural. We felt the exact same way. We actually had to buy thousands and thousands of dollars of equipment with just the hope that we could do it. So we understand what it feels like to go, I'm going to invest a lot of money into producing a virtual event and never done before. I don't know if it's going to work. So we were right there with you guys. But
they're not investing that money. They don't need to do that. That just sounded like you were saying they have to buy thousands of dollars of equipment.
No, but if they were to hire someone to produce it, it's going to cost thousands of dollars, and that could be intimidating for them.
Oh, to spend the money to hire somebody.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm just trying to bridge the similarities of, like, you're worried about spending money. Don't worry, we understand, because we were worried about spending money too. And
your focus is all messed up.
Where?
No, your hand is what messes it up. Okay.
Now I'm back. But anyways, so the point being, if you're still not, feeling good about this, it's fine. If you want to continue the conversation in the chat, you can. If you want to reach out to me directly or us directly, and even go over a Zoom or a meeting or through email, what have you, we'd be more than happy to do that. Whatever you guys need, we're here for you. So if you do want to email us, you can just email us at info@popcm.me. Or is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, that's info@popcm.me. So not .com. And there. Nope.
No,
Jamie's gonna
I
pull it
gotta
up on the screen.
type it, but Emmett's in my arm, so I'm trying to do this.
But yeah, and if you don't want to do email, you can private message us directly through Facebook Messenger or whatnot. And there.
Wait, which button? Everything's manual.
There we
There it
go.
is.
There's our email address right there. So, did I mess up my focus? No. So, you can email us there. And then I'm going to throw Jamie off again because we also have our POP newsletter, which we put
I
out
got that
every
one.
other week. And if you haven't signed up for it yet, I highly encourage you to do so. It's our way of kind of keeping in touch with you. We put some, in this day and age, it's hard to stay abreast of what's, people are up to these days. So that's this is our way of staying connected with you. And we also share some, interesting and helpful tips that we learn along the way through our experiences and our research. And there's also some fun content in there too. So it's a real personal style newsletter, so it's not an advertisement or anything like that. But if you want to sign up for it, just go to this website below, popcm.me/email, and then you can sign up for the newsletter there. And if you're new to the stream here, well, thanks for checking it out. We do this every week, every Tuesday at 12:30 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. So hopefully you can spend your lunch break with us. Again, next week, we're going to continue on the conversation about virtual events. We're going to be talking about why the program is so important when it comes to your virtual event and what goes into a successful, engaging program. So we talked about how really effective virtual events can be. They're only as successful as putting together a good program, because if it's boring or not engaging, they're not going to stay connected for very long. So we'll tell you about what we know, what we've learned, and how to do that. Anything else?
No.
All right. Well, hey, stay back on here. Quit leaving me. Well, thank you for joining us. Thanks for popping live with us. Why are you frowning? This should be the happy appreciation.
Why do I have to be here?
Because we're saying goodbye to our audience.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye. I had to figure out how to do it. Wait. Okay. Oh, wait. The music's not up. I gotta turn off the mics. Ah!